you knew that there was an element of risk in this. There had to be a degree of epidemiological gamble. That's logical and fair.
I don't think that I thought that scheme in itself was a particular gamble at the time, and it certainly wasn't presented to me as such, nor am I confident that there is very substantial evidence that it did indeed add to the R. Although, I defer to what your inquiry has discovered, but I can't see anything that conclusively shows that it made a big difference. At the time, it wasn't presented to me as something that would. The thinking was that the country had made a huge effort, that we'd got the R down below 1, that the disease was no longer spreading in the way that it had been, and that within the budget of risk, it was now possible to open up hospitality. That being so, logically, if we were going to take advantage of that, if we're going to allow people to take advantage of, allow the hospitality sector to take advantage of the freedom that our collective efforts had won them, then it seemed to me to make sense to make sure that they actually had some customers. That was my thinking, and it seemed to me that if it was safe to open hospitality, then it must be safe for people to go to hospitality.
To put your foot on the accelerator is, by implication, quite different. He, in fact, used the word perverse, but I'm just going to suggest to you that it's a different thing to do.
Utmost respect for Professor Edmonds. All I would say is that at the time that the Eat Out to Help Out policy was being aired with me for the first time, it did not seem, it was not presented to me as an acceleration, simply something to make sense of the freedoms that we were already giving. And it was not, I must emphasise, it was not at the time presented to me as something that would add to the budget of risk.
And the inquiry has seen a diary entry in Sir Patrick Vallance's evening notes where you exclaim in frustration, but plainly perhaps not to be taken too seriously, who made these stupid rules.
Yeah, look,
was that, against that context, Mr. Johnson, to what extent did your advisers and officials come to you over the summer and the autumn of 2020 and say, there really is a distinct problem about the efficacy and the workability of these regulations? They're very difficult to understand, and they're giving rise to a significant degree of confusion. Did that debate ever take place?
We did try to make the rules as simple as we could, but the problem was the effort did to get people to self-isolate, to avoid contact, because of the complexities of human life, became extremely complicated.
You knew that the Treasury and HMRC had not, in fact, sought scientific advice on the epidemiological consequences of the scheme. That must have been apparent to you.
Well, I say in my statement that I thought that Chris and Patrick must have known or did know about Eat Out to Help Out. And I said that because it wasn't a very secret thing. It was I thought, a pretty well publicised scheme, and I'm fairly confident that it was discussed several times in meetings at which I believe they must have been present. I understand that they don't feel that they were properly consulted, and I remember being, but I don't quite understand how that can have happened, to be honest. I remember being surprised later, I think it was in September, when Chris says this is Eat Out to help the virus, and I thought that's funny, because I didn't remember any previous controversy about it.
Mr. Johnson.